It's Destructor right here on your Classic Metal Show, and this is Neeley along with my good friend Chris Aiken. We're here live at the 78th Street Studio in Cleveland, Ohio, and, well, so far so good. Things are kind of rolling along here and soon to basically wind down.
Roll to an end.
Yeah, we're kind of waiting on our good friend Randy Trask to enter the building.
That's right. He's riding the roller coaster.
Yeah. So until then, we're going to make another phone call here. We're gonna talk to Dave Overkill.
That's right.
Of Destructor, since we just played a little bit of Destructor there.
Right.
And so let's dial him up and see if he's ready to speak to us.
All right.
So
beep, beep, beep.
Yep.
Beep, boop, boop.
Yep.
Beep, boop, beep.
Isn't that fun? Yeah, you're right. I forgot. I always forget I have the old touch tone thing.
You got a fancy schmancy
I
laptop
do.
there.
Let's give him a call here. See if he'll answer us. It's happening music.
Again. Whoop, whoop. All right, Dave Overkill, answer your phone.
Hello?
Hi, is this Dave? Dave Overkill.
It is.
The one and only.
It is.
Well, this is the one and only Neeley and Chris Aiken of the Classic Metal Show invading your space.
Chris, how you doing, man?
Good. What's up?
We are live at the 78th Street Studio with you, Dave. So welcome to the Classic Metal Show.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be on.
Well, Dave,
How's the show going today?
Good. It's real good, man.
It's been chock full of celebrities. Cleveland Metal's finest.
Well, the biggest celebrities chose to call in, though. That's why you're on the phone instead of.
And then I had to call in too.
Right, exactly. Well, dude, obviously, man, Destructor has been, a stalwart of the Cleveland metal scene basically since we've had a Cleveland metal scene, or just about since the beginning. So, as somebody that's been with the scene basically from the beginning, talk about those early days and, what it was like and how difficult it was, before the scene became accepted.
Well, it's interesting because way back once upon a time, there was only a handful of bands, and then more and more came along afterwards. But obviously, the Shock Paris, Black Death, and Breaker came before us, and I had seen all three of those bands live, and I was chomping at the bit with the boys, thinking, man, we need to be up there doing this. It's our turn. Let's get some stuff together and write some songs. And, sure enough, we had an opportunity. Our very first show was opening up for the Manimals at the Pop Shop. I think it was like October 20-something in 1984. And that was the first time we ever hit the stage. So that was something I still have vivid in my mind.
Right. And since then, it obviously grew into a very big, a very popular thing here in Cleveland, and you guys were at the forefront of that. I mean, for a lot of people, it was you guys, Breaker and Shock Paris, that, people were going out to see weekly, every single week.
Once upon a time, that the metal scene, and it still is, Magic, don't get me wrong, but those were the golden years when you couldn't play covers to get a gig. You had to be an original band, and the efforts of guys like Mitch Kapka and Bill Peters putting out compilation records featuring all of these different bands gave Cleveland a taste of the talent that was right in their own backyard. Really at the emergence of the beginning of the 80s, almost pre-thrash, or right when that was happening, and the European sound was strong with some of the bands like Shock Paris and Breaker, and we were a little bit younger and crazier and louder and more abrasive, and that's something that we totally embraced.
Well, Dave, when you were on the rise with Destructor, and you guys were having some local successes in Cleveland, what was your hopes and dreams? I mean, obviously everybody wants to make it big, whatever that definition of making it big means to you. So where did you see the band going, and do you have any regrets looking back?
Regrets? No, I don't have any. I mean, I wish that things could have been different for us, but every band has a hand of cards that's dealt them, and you also help create that, and sometimes you're sort of a victim of it. In our case, we lost Dave early on in '87 to an unfortunate incident, but our goal was to be like the Anthraxes and the Metallicas and Slayers. We wanted to get signed. We wanted to go on the road and just see where that took us. We knew that we had a lot of potential, but we were still very, very young and wet behind the ears, and that would have given us the experience that we needed. All those bands start off the same way. You get out on the road, you get into some professional studios, you keep writing some songs and mature, and that's really all that we wanted was, our piece of the action, our piece of the pie, so to speak.
Well, we talked about Bill Peters today a little bit with some of the other bands that filtered through here today. So how did Bill Peters influence what you guys were doing? And, can you tell us any good stories about Bill as far as his involvement with the Cleveland scene or with Destructor itself?
Well, Bill was instrumental in helping so many bands, like Chris Andrew was. Chris was a promoter and helping book shows, and Bill was more on the radio end and creating a record label. But he's the first guy that gave us a shot. And after our first performance, he approached us after the show and said, "Would you guys like to go in the studio and record some music?" And we were like, yes, of course we would. And Bill was extremely helpful, and has been for years, especially being the longest running DJ possibly in the United States with the radio show. And, I think Cleveland in general owes Bill a lot for the efforts that he gave to just give the talent a chance to have an audience. And he did that for so many bands. We were just one of the many. But, we had some fun stories on the road and in different places of playing pranks on Bill, and he was always a good sport about it. Taking pictures of him while he was asleep with a bear across him doing a 69 position and stuff that we've had photos of. I remember we were riding to Rochester, New York, and Dave Iannica was sitting in the back seat and Bill was driving, and we were in another car, and Dave had fashioned a sign that said, "Show us your dicks." And he was holding it up to the cars as on the window and ducking down behind it as they were passing cars and getting reactions from random drivers on the freeway. So
nice. Well, Dave. Obviously,
so we had a lot of good times. And
go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say we had a lot of good times and still have a lot of fond memories of those days.
Sure. Now, Dave, looking at it today, man, Destructor is still, you guys are still pushing forward. How much of it today is for the love of it versus the drive of the old days to make it to that next level, to make it to that next thing?
It's 100%. At this point, we pay everything out of pocket. We do it for the love. We could have really just said to hell with it. And in the 90s, there was a time when we weren't doing anything. We were on hiatus.
Right.
It seemed like heavy metal in America was all but dead if it wasn't for bands like Pantera. And then the European scene, thank God, kept that alive and helped resurrect a lot of these bands. But, we still want to keep playing music. We still have a lot of great songs and ideas in our heads, and as long as we're capable of doing it, we want to. It's purely for the love of the music, and the way I always look at it is it's not what I'm going to get from it right now. It's what I'm going to leave behind, and what sort of legacy will there be a couple generations or on down the road of some young kids picking up the music and going, wow, that was some great stuff, man. These guys were awesome. And, that's kind of the way we look at it with our heroes from the 70s and the 60s, that music that we listen to that no longer are able to do it.
Well, outside of Cleveland there, Dave, what's the future hold for Destructor? Do you have any like overseas plans, say like in 2020, anything on the table that you could tell us about?
I don't have anything concrete that I can say anything about. Usually when bands do that, nothing comes to fruition. But Destructor does have another record ready to be recorded. Right now, unfortunately, our fantastic and crazy drummer, Matt Flammable, just had knee replacement surgery. And so we're waiting for Matt to recuperate. We're going to start recording the brand new Destructor record in 2020, early winter. And some of you may know I started a solo project of sorts called Vulgar Devils.
Right.
And we already have half of that recorded. And when Matt's back, we're going to finish recording the second half of that. Now, we've recruited Nate from Hostile Amish, and we got Brooke Damage from the early Destructor days, and also he played with Breaker for years. And we actually, with Vulgar Devils and with Destructor, one thing that we have is we have a real family. The guys really enjoy each other. We love making music together. We bust balls like the old days. And yeah, sure, it's work because, we have to work jobs and maintain our lives and our families and homes and whatnot. But we all do this for the love of it. And I feel like both bands are in a really good place right now because we're making some great music. By the time the people hear the new stuff, they're going to be like, they haven't lost anything. If anything, they're going to be like, wow, hopefully be blown away by it. And that's the reward that I'm looking for when the product finally comes out and people wrap their ears around it and they realize these guys are unrelentless and they're still at it and seemingly unstoppable. And whatever tour opportunities and European shows or Japan or maybe someday South America, if those things happen, that would be the icing on the cake for us.
Perfect. Well, Dave, where can people find out about yourself and Destructor and what is it, Vulgar Devils, did you say?
Yeah, Vulgar Devils.
All right. Well, where can people find out about that? You guys got some social media pages or websites or anything like that?
We do. Yeah, we got, like everybody else, we have Facebook pages. We also have Bandcamp, and both bands are working right now with Reaper Metal Productions. And Reaper Metal Productions has a website and also a Bandcamp page that encompasses all of the bands that Craig Horville is doing. So there's a number of places where you can go to listen. You can download some stuff. You can buy off of Bandcamp pages and whatnot. So basically just Destructor Bandcamp, Vulgar Devils Bandcamp, and Reaper Metal Bandcamp are places where you can actually purchase items and listen to streaming music.
Perfect. All right, Dave. Well, we appreciate you taking a few minutes to talk to us here on the Classic Metal Show. And, good luck with your continuing career with Destructor and your new project there, Vulgar Devils. And go check that out and, see what Dave has to offer.
Yep.
Thanks, Chris, and continued success to you and your radio show. And also I want to give a shout-out. She's been around the scene for many, many years, and her history is richer than all of us combined. And Joe Cleon has made quite a name for himself in his professional photography. And we're all very thankful that there's people like that, the DJs, the artists, the photographers that all participate in this. It's a group effort, and that's what makes this.
All right, Dave. All right, Dave. Well, we want to end with something from Destructor from their Forever and Leather release. Do you have a pick and maybe tell us a story about it?
Geez, I don't know. I'll say, why don't you play Tear Down the Heavens, which was the opening cut, and that song was accidentally named. It was, first off, it was the last song written for the record. We thought everything was done, and that one just popped out the last minute. And somebody had done a review of some songs, and they said something about a song which was our song Bring Down the Heavens, but they called it Tear Down the Heavens because they got it wrong. And we were like, well, there's the name of the song. So we had the last song of the record, and somebody named it for us. I don't recall who it was, but we have to thank them for that.
Perfect. All right, well, we're going to end this interview with some Destructor, Tear Down the Heavens. So appreciate it, Dave. We'll catch up with you another time. And so here it is. It's Destructor exclusively here
on your Classic Metal Show.